Well, it's time for another Quarter Notes. This is a video series that I talk about four albums that I don't really have enough to talk about in a full-length album review for any individual one, but I still have been listening to them and I still have a little bit to say, so I kind of consolidate them here into the single video. The four that I'm talking about today, some are live and some are more studio. Some were released last year and some were released this year. It's a whole fun grab bag of different music that I want to talk about. So the first one that I want to talk about is Ellesmere. I believe that's the band's name. Their album they released in 2020, last year, of Weird. This is their third album, I believe, and this is another one that I've really been getting into in terms of like the progressive, like retro prog. This is stuff like Carfagan, like Wobbler, Arabs and Aspect. So I was listening to a lot of this stuff at the beginning of this year and at the end of last year, really getting into this style of noodling away. And listening to so much of it, it does kind of get lost in the shuffle when you're listening to so much all at once. And I was excited to kind of put this one on the shelf and just kind of let it breathe for a little bit. And I've really been enjoying this. I like that this album has a very clear side A and side B. The first three songs of Challenge, The Eerie Manor, and Endeavor, they kind of produce one track that's about 20 minutes because they bleed seamlessly into one another. Then we have the other two tracks of Azure and Endless, and it's a fun romp. You know, like I don't really have too much to say about the music found within it, as on the one hand it is a little bit of the generic progressive retro prog that we've been hearing a lot lately. They do wear a lot of their talents on, like a lot of their influences on their sleeves. Like I'm feeling a lot of callbacks to Yes, Genesis, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Unlike other ones that I've seen, they don't quite completely clone those, but they do step really close to their influences. So this isn't one that's like a game changer. This isn't one that's breaking the mold in any sense. But this is one that I have returned to. And I mean, the front cover looks like a Roger Dean album artwork. So that in and of itself is what I love about progressive rock. And yeah, this is one that I would give at the very least a stream. Like I would say definitely go check this out. I'm wavering between a stream and a download. I don't know if I would invest too much in this, but I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're into this style of music. If you're not, then, you know, if you've heard Carfagan, if you've heard Wobbler, and you've heard all those other retro prog groups and you're not really into them, I wouldn't bother. But if you have heard them and you do like them, give this one a try. It's really fun. Another one that I've been listening to quite a bit is some of the live albums that I've had lately. And the first one I want to talk about is Pink Floyd live at Nebworth in 1990. This is one that has been released very recently. They put it on a 45 speed on a double disc. And to be perfectly frank, I'm not a big fan of this one. It's honestly just the best hits from the Delicate Sound of Thunder, because I don't know. I feel like we already have two standout live releases of this time, right? You have Pulse and you have A Delicate Sound of Thunder, and both of these are brilliant works of a live presentation. And I don't really need to hear Shine On You Crazy Diamonds and Comfortably Numb another couple of times. I just feel like it's a retread of music that we've already heard before. I don't see anything new about it. And the way that they've structured them here doesn't really do anything for me, if I'm being perfectly honest. They're fine, but not all that excited. So yeah, for me, this one's honestly a skip. I'd rather just listen to the whole show that is either Pulse or Delicate Sound of Thunder, that, you know, are showcasing either, you know, Momentary Lapse of Reason or The Division Bell. What I really wanted was something that, you know, we do know that there's Echoes in the Garden, the show that they put out right after or just before Animals, where it starts off with Shine On You Crazy Diamonds, then goes into Dogs and Sheep, and then we have the full Dark Side of the Moon suite, and finishes off with Wish You Were Here, and something else is the final conclusion of that. And that is kind of what I'm craving and what I wish they had put out, but Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's what I've got for Pink Floyd live at Nebworth. If this is up your jam and you need to have everything that Pink Floyd ever puts out, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But if you're like me, this is at the very most a stream. And that's kind of where I'm leaning towards with this one. So from there, let's go on to TWRP. This is a group that I've really dove deep within the first couple of months of this year. I have their first, the album that I'm going to be talking about, Over the Top. It's one of my favorite albums. It was released last year, and I've been obsessed with this album. It's a blending of, like, as I've mentioned before, electric light orchestra with like a Daft Punk. So you have that electronic dance music from like the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, but blended with this happy, fun, geeky kind of a flair from the 70s. So this blending of styles really does my heart joy. I'm loving so many tracks on here. On This Rock is probably my favorite track of this year. I can't stop listening to it. It's just so freaking good. This one is one that I love with my whole heart. I do. Gotta go and check it out. Gets the note seal of approval. And if I had more to say about it, I would do a full-length album review. But the tracks do stay pretty close to home. They don't really bleed anywhere else. And that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. It's still an album that I love with my whole heart, and I wholeheartedly endorse it. But that's kind of where I'm at for that. So finally, let's talk about the Yes live album, From a Page. Now, this is actually I don't want to say like a reissue, but this came out in 2019 as like a box set compilation where you had the first disc being the studio release, and then the second disc or two discs being the live performance. In that project, it was called From a Page in the Present, live from Lyon. And it's okay. The only thing that I enjoy about this one is that Chris Squire is still with us at this point on bass and backing vocals. Yeah, this still follows the same issue that I have with all modern Yes live projects. Like, it reminds me of this.
Stop! He's already dead.
The only person kind of really pulling their weight here is Steve Howe. The songs are slowed down to such an extent where they're crawling along in terms of like the live performances. And I don't need to hear Starship Trooper, Roundabout, or Siberian Katru anymore. I've already heard them to death in a live setting, done so much better. I would much rather listen to them either on Yes songs or Yes shows. Heck, I'll even go to Keys to Ascension. But this is just, I don't know. And the studio releases, they're fine. Like Gift of Love is okay. And Words on a Page, as well as From a Turn of the Card, are fine. But that's as good as I can really say about them. Honestly, this is another one that I would skip from them. The only reason why I listen to it is so I can talk to you about it. At this point, I don't know. I'd rather just listen to Yes in their heyday rather than revisiting them now here. I mean, at least they're not putting out any more studio albums. This is the closest that we're probably going to get. But yeah, it's still not great. So it's kind of where I'm at. I would just skip it, unless you're a die-hard Yes fan, and I'm not going to stop you. I don't know. There's so much better music out there that I wouldn't spend my time listening to another live recording from Yes. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for From a Page. And that's my 4. That's my 4. What did you guys think of these 4 albums? Have you checked them out? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Whatever you thought, let me know by commenting down below. I'd really like to hear from that. And yeah. If you like what you see and you want to help support me, consider donating to my Patreon. I've left that link down below that you can check out. You get your name at the end of the credits, and there's some fun perks as well. I'm working through some of my live stream stuff as well as some of the album reviews. I hope to get those out hopefully by the end of June. That's my goal, to get all those past ones out. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for that. And yeah, if you want to also follow any more content, I've got my podcast, Quid Pro Quo. I also have that here on YouTube as well. Yeah, I've got my tabletop role-playing game, Notes on TTRPG. Left all those links down below if you wanted to check those out. And that's about it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, Notes out.